He never expected his life to change that night. The street was quiet, except for the sound of rain hitting the pavement. When Daniel, a single father barely holding his life together, saw a woman stumbling near the curb in her soaked designer dress, he almost walked past her, until her face tilted toward the flickering streetlight. And his heart dropped. It was her. His boss, the same woman who had humiliated him in front of everyone, just a few days ago. But at that moment, she wasn't the powerful CEO everyone feared. She was just a human being, lost, broken, and seconds away from walking into danger. Daniel dropped his umbrella and rushed toward her before she stepped onto the busy road. "Ms. Walker," he shouted. She blinked through the rain, confused, swaying on her heels. "Daniel," she slurred. You work for me, right? What are you doing here?" "Saving you," he muttered, just as a car sped past where she had nearly stepped. Without thinking, he pulled her back to safety, holding her steady as she clung to his jacket, trembling. That night changed everything. The night was long. Daniel took her to his small apartment, too worried to leave her alone. His daughter, Lily, barely 7, peeked from her room, clutching her stuffed bunny. "Daddy, who's that?" she whispered. Daniel smiled softly. "Just someone who needs help tonight." Ava Walker, once the sharpest, coldest woman in the city, looked small and human sitting on his worn-out couch. She stared at the child's drawings on the wall, stick figures of a father and daughter holding hands under a bright sun. A single tear slipped down her cheek before she whispered, "You're a good man, Daniel." Then she fell asleep. Daniel spent the night at the kitchen table, thinking about how a man like him, a janitor struggling to pay rent, ended up protecting a woman worth millions. He didn't know it then. But the next morning, his world would never be the same again. When sunlight touched the curtains, Ava woke up, head pounding. Her memory was fuzzy, but flashes returned. The street, the rain, the strong arms that stopped her from falling. Daniel handed her a glass of water. "You should drink this. I'll call a cab for you." Most people, especially those like her, would pretend nothing happened. Erase the embarrassment. But Ava didn't. She stood there, looking around his small apartment, the cracked walls, the child's toys, the smell of pancakes coming from the kitchen. "Did your daughter make those?" she asked, pointing at the uneven pancakes on the counter. "She tried," he said with a grin. "She says she'll be a chef someday." Ava smiled faintly. "She's lucky to have you." Then she paused, the weight of her loneliness suddenly crushing her. She had spent years chasing success, building walls so high that no one ever saw her cry. But Daniel did. Before leaving, she said quietly, "Thank you, for saving me. And don't worry. I remember everything." The next day at the company, whispers filled the hallways. Daniel walked in nervously, thinking she'd fire him to protect her image. But when she arrived, everything went silent. Ava looked different, softer, calmer. She stopped beside him, ignoring the stares of her executives. "Mr. Reed," she said clearly, "I owe you my life. You're one of the few people I trust now. From today onward, you'll be working directly with me. Daniel froze. Ma'am. I'm just. You're not just anything, she interrupted, her eyes steady. You showed me more humanity in one night than I've seen in years. The staff was stunned. But Daniel saw something deeper in her gaze: gratitude, and maybe something she hadn't felt in a long time, kindness. Weeks passed. Their professional bond grew. But something unspoken lingered between them. She started checking in on his daughter, bringing small gifts like books and snacks. She even helped Lily with her school project one afternoon, laughing more than Daniel had ever seen her do. It wasn't romance at first. It was healing. Ava began to remember who she used to be before ambition hardened her heart. Daniel, in turn, learned that compassion could touch even the coldest souls. But then came the moment that tested them both. One evening, the company's investors discovered photos of Ava drunk on the street. The same night Daniel had saved her. Rumors spread fast. Her reputation was at risk. Her position, threatened. When the board demanded an explanation, Daniel stepped forward. It was my fault, he lied. I found her, yes, but I didn't stop to think. She wasn't drunk. She was sick. I took her home to help, not to make her look bad. Ava's eyes widened in shock. He was risking everything: his job, his name, to protect her. Later, when they were alone, she said, "Why would you do that?" He shrugged. "Because you didn't pretend to forget." That broke her. She turned away, tears slipping down her cheeks. "You saved me twice now, Daniel," she whispered. "Once from the street, and once from myself." Time healed the chaos. The rumors died down. Ava learned to smile again. Daniel's position rose within the company not because of pity, but because Ava saw his quiet strength. On a warm Friday evening, Ava visited his apartment once more. Lily ran to her, hugging her legs. "Miss Ava. Daddy says you're his favorite boss." Ava laughed, glancing at Daniel. "Is that so?" Daniel smirked. "She talks too much." They all laughed, and for the first time in years, Ava felt like she belonged somewhere. As the night settled, Ava stood by the window, watching Lily sleep on the couch. "You know," she said softly, "that night I thought I was broken beyond repair. But you didn't walk away." Daniel met her gaze. "No one deserves to be left in the rain." She smiled, not the polite CEO smile, but something real, fragile, and warm. "Maybe you're right," she whispered. "Maybe some people just need someone to see them, and not their mistakes." Daniel nodded. "That's what saving someone really means." And as the city lights shimmered outside, she whispered, "I won't ever pretend to forget that again." It wasn't a love story, not yet. It was a story about redemption. About second chances. And the quiet power of kindness. A single dad saved his boss one rainy night. But in truth, they saved each other. Because sometimes The smallest act of compassion can rebuild two broken lives and remind the world that humanity still matters.